Next, we are going to see the associated problems while installing the geothermal energy, which is used for the conversion of electricity, and environmental effects. So, what is geothermal energy? Geothermal energy is the thermal energy contained in the rock and the fluid below the earth's crust, which is called as a magma. So, we have seen the binary cycle power plant where heat from the geothermal water is used as a vapor, which is used to vaporize the working fluid in a separate adjacent pipes. The vapor powers the turbine generator. So heat exchanger where the heat is transferred from geothermal water into the second liquid. So geothermal water is exposed into the never exposed into the air. And we have seen some of the electrical and mechanical features when compared to the geothermal power plant along with the fossil fuel power plant. And we have seen the mechanical corrosions, natures of the particular troublesome when you are using for the geothermal power plant. So flash steam geothermal method is the most common power plant type method we are using that. So what are the problems associated with the geothermal power plant in the sense? The major problem of the geothermal power plant is estimation of the power life. Power life of the reservoir to make reasonable accurate decision on the size of the station, how much size to be built. And financial life, that also we have to see that. And prediction of the life of the reservoir, how much time this can be used for this generation of electricity. Second problem is associated with the separation of steam from steam water mixer. All the well heads and transmission of the steam because through the long pipeline to the powerhouses. Another important problem is nothing but the selection of materials that are suitable for the geothermal system and plants. The material should have the large resistance to corrosion of the gaseous products and properties to fulfill the electromechanical problem and other kind of requirements. These are all the things are coming under the associated problems. Next we are going to see the environmental effects. What are the considerable attention has to be given whenever we are going for the implementation of the geothermal power plant? Although environmentalists have some reason to believe that geothermal energy may prove to be a cleanest source for convertible power readily available, it does not provide any undesirable effects for the several kilometers from the geothermal field, but they can introduce some environmental problems in the surrounding regions. These damage to environment are, suppose you are drilling for the earth, that may create some seismic or earthquakes. So we have to need if you want to develop this geothermal energy in the sense, we need to carefully study the solution and problems to control the problems and to give the solution with a reasonable cost. The potential effect on the environment of the most immediate concern are gaseous and particular emissions, land pollutions, subsidence potentials, seismic consideration, biological effect, social effect. These are all the major potential effects we have to concentrate. The first one is we are talking about the gaseous and particulate emission. So fluids are drawn from the earth, carry the mixture of gases, for example carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, methane, ammonia. These pollutants contribute to global warming, acid rain, noxious smell if it is released. So geothermal electric plants emits an average of 122 kg of carbon dioxide per megawatt hour of electricity. So So small fraction of emission intensity which will create some gases also which will harmful to the environment, that has to be taken careful. Some of the noxious material creating air pollutions, sulfides, mercury compounds, radioactive materials are also. Next, land pollution. While talking about the land pollution, so on-site surface we are using for this thermal power plant. So site production to the surrounding environment, you have to keep it in the mind. The vapor dominated system this is. So any leakage in the vapor that will causes some pollution also. So water dominated geothermal system, in the sense effect of the accidental will be reduced. But any fluids are added in the sense, then some kind of harmful effect will be there for the plant or soil sterility or the biological magnifications, food chain process. Subsidence effect, in the sense it is occurs in some areas when a fluid is removed from the ground and the removal of equal quantities of the fluid produced no measurable subsidence. So subsidence effects are better understood from the studies of both petroleum and groundwater reservoir. Very little has been gathered from the production of geothermal fluids. Seismic hazards. So mostly the geothermal resources are closely associated with the region in the high geological activity, because some earthquake will affect the whole system, because the fluid pressures are changed in the region in the tectonic stress in the ground. Fluid pressures are also changed in the regions of the earthquake activity. So many questions are coming from this regarding seismic activities which is applied to the geothermal field. However, we have to monitoring the seismic activities where near productive geothermal areas often. Water pollution. So possible risk is associated with the development of and utilization of the geothermal resources. That is contamination of the surface and groundwater. The groundwater will be contaminated due to this geothermal fluids. Some fluids are applied to the water in the ground level for converting the water into steam. So the sample collection analysis procedure that has to be properly done, but it is too expensive because we are using some kind of chemicals and isotopic elements for the conversion of this water into steam. So that may migrate into other reservoirs which will affect the human thing also when it is spreaded over in the earth surface. Not right now, but it may be spread after the years, that will be contaminated. The water will be contaminated in the inside the earth surface due to this kind of things. Next, biological effects, that is unknown effects are there which will impact the geothermal operations in the bio-nature perspective. Natural environment damage, or sometimes it may damage to many species inside the earth surface, or it will be give damage to the plants, animal life that can takes place through the changes in the chemical balance in soil and water. Use of some toxic substance in the industrial applications, destruction of specialized habitants of the thermal pool alpha 9 meadows, interruption of the migratory patterns, humidity, introduction of human presence, activity, unaffected regions. These are all the factors which need to study elaborately, which will not affect the uh, biological thing when you are implementing this geothermal power plants. Social effects, in the sense which is arising from the geothermal resource development, which need the research involves the problem of noise and land use. sociological, economical and planning are greatly needed to determine the public policy for the equitable resolutions of conflicts and other kind of arising cases, because carbon dioxide is extracted from the gases or used for the refrigeration food processing. Sometimes it may affect the other kind of environmental also. Thank you.